One of the most brilliant men we know, Adam Chapnick, is with us today. We're very honored to speak with him. Adam, tell us what you do.
What do? I spread the gospel about crowdfunding at IndieGogo, the world's largest open international funding platform.
Okay.
Check it out. It's awesome. Woo!
You know, the first thing we wanted to ask you, Adam, is we just launched our campaign for Goodbye Promise on IndieGogo 4 days ago, and you know, it was a little bit I don't know. There was trepidation, you know, leading up to this release. You know, there was some anxiety.
Yeah.
We haven't seen anyone do this before us, as far as we know, and so I wanted to ask you, from your end, did you ever see something like this coming?
Well, I mean, on the one hand, no, and on the other hand, yes. You know, total props, ups, kudos to you guys for seeing a way to distribute a film that nobody's figured out and nobody's tried. It's now that you're doing it, I'm sure everybody's saying, "Oh my God, why didn't I think of that? That is such an obvious idea. What a great way of the future." It's, you know, like all good ideas, they're things that everybody feels like they should have thought of. But having said that, you know, it's just the first time in film that someone's doing this, right? Because really what you're doing, it's no different from, I mean, it's no different from delivering a product, from delivering an ebook, from delivering, you know, any other kind of music downloads that happen in similar ways across the internet, maybe not exactly the way you're doing it, but it so fits the temperament of today's like internet consumer that I can't say it's a total shock, and you know, it's a logical continuation of what's happening everywhere, which is why it's such a good idea.
Well, it's funny because people have said that to us where they're like, "Oh wow, either I wish I had thought of that," or, you know, I kind of was thinking that would be a good thing. So is this the first time anyone's brought this type of style of distribution up to you? Is this something that's brand new? Really? Wow.
Yeah. Oh, David, when David told me about the idea, I was like, have I ever thought of doing that myself? And I had to say no. And I had to think, has anybody else, you know, brought this up? No. Like I said, it has the hallmark of a good idea where you kick yourself when you hear it and you're like, that is too obvious that I didn't think of that. And that's great. So no, to my knowledge, nobody's done this yet.
Because I know when he brought it up to me, I was nervous about it, and you had very definite ideas, and I said okay. And then we talked it over with Gregor Collins, who's the lead actor and also one of the producers on the film, and we agreed. And David, you felt the most strongly about it, and so we kind of just followed your path. But it seems like people are really resonating with it, and also because this is the first time that anyone's done this. So that being said, do you think this will be possibly a new wing of IndieGogo in terms of?
It's hard to say. I mean, yeah, I mean, we'll see. I think it's the kind of thing that I would be surprised if more people don't try it, for sure. You know, but like everything, it's going to take a while to figure out the best way to do anything new, you know? And I'm interested to see what people think of, including you. I mean, because you guys obviously have a good coconut up here.
Well, I mean, to be honest, I mean, you know, we're 4 days in. You know, certainly we're pretty excited with what we've been able to do so far, because here we are, we're offering the movie essentially for $1. You know, that's the sort of the going contribution. We've been very surprised by some of the results early on. We're already, after 4 days, approaching $1,000. You know, hopefully we'll hit that very soon in the next few hours. So that's pretty amazing in itself there. You know, beyond that, you know, some of the numbers we've seen so far is we're asking for the $1. The average contribution was closer to $8 per contribution.
That's great.
You know, so you know, all the numbers and all that kind of stuff. Favorite, I think it kind of lends itself to the power of transparency. You know, I think, you know, there's so much. You know, that's really what's kind of been going through our heads today is just the transparency factor. You know, especially with digital distribution, no one knows anything. You know, you see so many filmmakers that we talk to are just like, you know, what are the numbers? Everyone wants to know the numbers, and it's great to see that the audience, you know, so far, you know, I mean, we don't know where this is going. You know, we only have like 120 people that have jumped on so far, so it's very tiny. But they seem to be excited, and they seem to be getting behind it and sharing it. So that's pretty neat stuff that's happening so far.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, I think it's like everything. You know, when you try something for the first time, using one kind of platform to do something else, sometimes there's pain when you're that first person, because a lot of people take a long time to even wrap their head around what in the world you're doing, and especially being in the vanguard of a new way of using something that's in the vanguard itself already. Most people don't even understand crowdfunding, and you're already like around the bend at the next iteration of crowdfunding. I mean, there's pain associated with being a visionary. I mean, we saw it at IndieGogo. I mean, there was 4 of us, 2.5, 3 years ago, working for nothing in our houses, like hoping people would understand what the hell we were talking about. And there was pain because we got it, and it was just people didn't understand what the heck we were talking about. Eventually, that comes around. And now with what you're doing, I see it clearly. My background at Distributor, I was all about thinking around like, what's another way to get a film, from a filmmaker's hand without going through all of the baloney that you have to go through to get into an audience's experience? How can you do this in a way that meets people where they are and isn't expensive and is just sort of workable? And this could be a way. But maybe the challenging news is that it takes some education for people to understand the methodology, and that can take time. And so when it's your film and you're counting the money, that can be painful or nerve-wracking.
Yeah. Sure. I think too, it remains to be seen that with a filmmaker or an artist that has a bigger audience. I mean, we have a very small film and a very small audience, and there's no big names attached to it. So I think if you got somebody else like Kevin Smith, it could really be tested. I'm wondering, just from our short time with you on the Skype here, I know you had just a moment to glance at it. Anything stick out to you in terms of what maybe we're missing in terms of our message, or what we're doing that looks great?
Let's look.
Okay.
Together, shall we?
Yes. Let's go.
Let us look together. One thing, I mean, this doesn't speak to the efficacy of what you're doing, but one thing I would typically counsel against is having a goal of $1 million. Only because, if for no other reason, then if you don't hit it, you pay IndieGogo more than you have to.
Sure.
I mean, why pay? And I'm taking from me. I mean, that's I work at IndieGogo, but that's one thing I would say. Like, give yourself a chance to pay less. That's less of an exciting tip, but something I noticed is going from the top down.
Okay, that makes sense.
The other thing, something you do great here is you have a lot of logos at the top of your explanation with blurbs from your reviews, and that's great for creating some social proof and making people feel like you're legitimate. I think that's awesome. You've got stills in the description with link outs to the people. It's all great, and statistically we know that those things create a larger revenue for a campaign. All of those things you just did, that I just described rather. You've got bonuses that you offer, which is great. Moving down, more stills is great. There's a statistic on IndieGogo that I'm not going to be able to recreate in exact numbers, but the more images and media that you put in your campaign, the more money your campaign will make.
Oh, okay.
It's not quite a one-to-one correlation, but it's a general correlation. So that's all great. One thing I would wonder aloud, I don't know the answer, but I would just wonder aloud, is you chose to have the only thing you offer be the film. Yeah. And that's in some ways quite interesting, because it's putting a stake in the ground that we are distributing and we are not, crowdfunding. But having said that, some of the most successful campaigns in crowdfunding are distribution campaigns, not necessarily of film or whatever, but across all platforms, whether it's us, Kickstarter, anybody else, you see widgets that are sold, but what happens is on a lot of those campaigns, they often have a lot of high dollar contributors who either buy a lot of something or a special edition of something or some more involved participation in what you're doing. And while on the one hand, I think it's kind of cool that you're keeping it clean as a distribution method, the fact that what we'll call your perks, what you're offering, are all, tiny dollar amount and don't give anybody an opportunity to do what I call unlocking the value of the creative process, meaning all of the people who are enamored of movie making, but who maybe decided to be a dentist or a lawyer and didn't want to go through all the misery of becoming a filmmaker just so they could have that day where, yay, at the end I have a film. But what they have is money, and they'd be willing to trade money for the experience of being a filmmaker, like coming to set or just, engaging in some way, having, I don't know, whatever it is. Maybe it's even, the film might be long in the can, but engaging with you as filmmakers in the process to feel like they're a part of it. Those are things that we know high dollar contributors like to involve themselves in, and it often has no cost to you. So there might be an opportunity here for you to add perks where people can get involved in certain ways. Of course, I don't know your circles. I don't know your network, social network or audience or whatever, whether those kinds of people exist in large numbers or small numbers. But regardless, when crowdfunding works, it's your message reaching through your network and into their networks. And often that's where those dentists and lawyers are, whatever, who think it would be cool to have something to do with a movie. Yeah. So that's a thought.
Okay.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's certainly something that's gone through our heads. I guess at least for me talking about it, we have crowdfunded before. We've crowdfunded on that other platform. Adam.
Say it. Look, I'm saying.
Nah.
I have nothing against Kickstarter.
I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. No, but we did crowdfund on Kickstarter, and one of the things is, we had a bunch of perks, and I guess just from our side, we just wanted to make it easy, not just for anyone that wants to watch the film, because we have the film where it's like you contribute the $1 or $2, and then it's available in the update section, so it's there. So we just wanted to make it easy for the viewer as well as for us. We just don't want to be tied up with any sort of like promises, any additional time.
Right.
It's just like we just want to keep it simple on our end. Especially we don't know how many people we're going to reach, and we don't want to be in a spot where we have to fulfill however many hundreds or thousands of rewards. That's really going to absorb our time. So that's kind of
and our costs.
Yeah, and our costs as well. So we just want to keep it super simple, but totally totally buy into what you're saying as well. So it's just this sort of positioning we're making here with that.
Yeah, no, like I said, there's an elegance to the fact that you're staking your territory as a distribution play. I mean, I think there's something to that. That's an exciting story. In fact, this is true. I was having lunch today, and the guys I was having lunch with said, "Oh, did you hear about these guys that are now distributing through IndieGogo?" I was like,
yes, there we go.
I will be talking to them in 70 minutes.
That's awesome.
Very cool.
That's
wow.
really great.
So
wow.
it's
That makes
getting
our
out
day.
there. Yeah.
Well,
I said, how did you hear? I asked them, how did you hear about that? And they said, I read it on something on the internet called No Film School. Like, all right, Ryan, there you go.
Yeah,
it works.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, we love that.
Very cool.
Well, Koo.
That's really awesome.
Koo was. He ended up being the first one we turned to, Adam. He ended up being the first one we had a chance to speak with, and we just have such tremendous respect for what he does with No Film School.
We sure
and
do.
and it's really so great to talk to you because of what you do with Distributor. Finding that company. Because ideally, we still have Distributor in mind. We're really curious to see what happens here in IndieGogo, but we still have this platform in mind. We're still not sure what's going to happen, but you have filmmakers in mind in that sense, and then you also have this position with IndieGogo where you kind of head up sort of like the film department with IndieGogo. Distribution, and I guess a lot of our frustration is just we have this small film, and it's like you know we sort of have to fight into the system that exists. It's like even with distributor, like there's no guarantee that you get on iTunes. There's no guarantee you get on Hulu. There's just no guarantee that you're going to be able to access the audience that you're trying to get to. You know, when you apply to film festivals, there's no guarantee that you'll get into the film festivals. You know, theatrical distribution, my feeling is that's really not a game for smaller films that don't have the money and resources. You know, so you know we were just looking at it and we just want to take our little movie and we just want to just easily get it to people. You know, without the hassle, without like the obstacles, and really the way we view it, we believe at this point in time it's not the perfect platform, but we believe Indiegogo is as close as we could find. You know, when we started looking at some of the things we wanted to do, we believe Indiegogo is the best distribution platform, not for all films, and certainly, yeah, not for everything, but for smaller films
Right.
that maybe you know are going to have that tougher time fitting into the system. You know, so here we are talking to you.
I think it's brilliant. I mean, I do. I think it's a really great use of a platform that can reach people in a viral way. It's got video as one of its core presentation elements.
Yeah.
And as you pointed out, it's imperfect the way it is with the updates and that they are inherently open, and there was some trepidation about them being open and whatnot. Great observation.
Yeah.
And I think this is the kind of thing that, to me, it's exciting to see what the conversation is going to be around this. As much as, you know, of course, I want you to hit $1 million in 20 days. I want that to happen, you know, for both of us, right?
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
I mean, I think it's really to your credit that you're thinking outside the box this way. Your thinking this way is how Indiegogo got started, right? It's how Distributor got started. It's exactly the way you're thinking is the way we were thinking, and one way or the other, we got a lucky bounce here, lucky bounce there, and look where we all are. So it's entirely possible that if the conversation takes fire around this, I mean, I could see, you know, the community making the case for feature sets being added, things like that, where it becomes, I don't know in what ways yet, right? And maybe none of us do, but in certain ways where it does become a distribution platform out of intention, not like because some smart guy in Sunland figured this out, you know? That's,
Yeah.
I think it's a great story, honestly, that you came up with this, you know?
Well, yeah. I mean, really, at the heart of it is just, you know, I mean, there's so many factors that go into it, but as mentioned, it's just, you know, we have a really small film, and we just want to get in front of people. So that's really the heart of it.
Yeah, and it costs so little to make, and you know, probably much more in post production. But why incur all the costs of festivals and all of that, and you know, deliverables and everything when we can just kind of do this and maybe recoup some of the money back, or actually break even, or maybe even make a profit. So
Yeah.
I just think it's a perfect way.
Yeah, I think, I mean, are you guys outreaching in, I'm sure you are, but in, you know, to the community in terms of blogs with the sort of the hook that this is a new way of distributing and that let's get into a conversation about how this might look and are we onto something and that kind of stuff? That's a very interesting, like I was saying, conversation that I think can come out of this. I mean, and then, you know, beyond that, in your updates on the site, there's another interesting stat that updates do correlate directly to funding.
Yeah.
So the more you update, the more money you make, which is sort of counterintuitive because updates go to people who've already given you money. But what happens, maybe I'm preaching to the choir, but you know what happens is the people who have kind of started supporting you, as they see your updates, they start to feel proud of what they're supporting and they start to share more. Yeah. And as we know, it's the sharing that makes the viral event happen. And the more the virality happens, the later in the campaign, the more strangers come when your success bar is higher and higher. And this is another reason why it's tricky to have a super high goal, because there's a psychology stat that we've noticed that that strangers tend not to jump in until between 20 and 40% of a funding goal, regardless of its size. So at $1 million, that means like $200,000 to $400,000.
No problem.
So
we realize that, we realize that.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but even forgetting the percentage, I mean, keeping updates coming and talking about, the successes that are happening, whether it's in the dollars or in the word of mouth. And then also, I think maybe adding perks. There's a statistic about perks that are added in campaigns that 63% of successful campaigns on Indiegogo have added a perk after launch, which is 2/3.
Yeah.
That surprised me because I wasn't aware that people are doing that in that volume. But I know that you are talking about how you were trying to keep cost and pain in the ass down, and I totally respect that.
Totally.
But
and having the pleasure or the opportunity to see you speak in Santa Monica, we also felt like, okay, let's just start with 2, and if something emerges that wouldn't be a pain for us to add as a perk, that maybe is more of a premium perk, knowing that let's hold that back just in case. So it's really just sort of diving into the water and kind of swimming around a little bit and see what happens.
I love it.
Yeah.
And just real quick, Adam, do you think we should add more photos to our campaign page? I'm all about it. I know Dave wanted more of a cleaner look. I tend to like things more extreme, so.
Well, statistically, if you have 10 or more pieces of media, you have the most benefit from your media.
Okay.
So
all right.
that's the stats talking.
Okay.
Now,
all right.
whether they're in your campaign page or in your gallery, I'm not sure where the stats measure that, if it counts like on the front page or in your gallery. You have technically 3 in your gallery and maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on your page. So I don't know whether it means in your gallery or not, but over 10 is a good number.
Okay.
Adam, can I ask you about the updates? Because hopefully, like I said, hopefully we're going to go over $1,000 very soon, and I certainly want to use that as a benchmark to.
Let me take this opportunity to personally guarantee that you will go over $1,000 in the next several minutes. Though I can't take out a credit card while we're on. Maybe I will.
Okay.
It's hard for me to talk during an interview while actually contributing.
This is awesome.
Wow. Okay.
This is awesome.
Okay.
Yes. Wow.
I'm going to
Cool.
buy many downloads right now. But yes,
Adam
continue.
He believes in the dream, baby. He believes in the dream.
That's it. I
Thank
do.
you.
You know I do.
Wow, this is cool.
Okay.
Yeah. I
Let's
guess
see.
we can take a moment and then we can.
Sure, we
edit.
can pause this.
Yeah,
if
we
you,
can
if you
pause.
need us. No ulterior motives or anything.
Hold on a second. I'm
How cool
getting
is
an
that?
instant
That's
video.
really cool.
Cool.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Please.
That's really awesome.
So, well, we can continue. I can do this. I'm an excellent multitasker.
But so with the updates, obviously we haven't done a lot. We've only done 2 so far, and we understand the power of the updates. And maybe it's because I've only done 2, and maybe because mainly because I've only done 2. But it's a little frustrating so far because we have to have the film in the update section, and we want that to be the first thing people see.
Right.
And so, but we also want to add photos, and we want to add videos, and we want to have more stuff there. And I'm kind of stuck. I can't really. Is that right? You can only have 1 media in the update.
I don't believe that's true, actually. Now, you might have stumped the band on this interview right there. I'll have to look into that. I think you can have more than 1 media in an update.
Okay.
But if you know that you can't, you might be ahead of me. That's possible.
Yeah, believe me, because I want to use the power of the update, and we just haven't been able to tap into that yet. And I don't know, is it somehow tied into the gallery you're talking about? Like, do you store media in the gallery and then you're able to pull it to the update?
No, I don't think that's how it works. I mean, if I just am not, honestly, I need to get that granularly conversant with my own platform to know about whether I could have 2 media in the update at the same time. I thought you could, but we can certainly look into that. As far as how to make that happen, I think it's important to keep updating, but that is interesting that you've kind of pioneered this way of using the update page, and you don't want to send people there and have them have to scroll down and not be able to find the actual link.
Yeah.
I wonder, I was going to just say keep posting it up in every update. you know, like here it is again.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know,
No, yeah, we have it. We're going to have it every update, but then I won't be able to add another. Like if we have a screenshot of being on Script Magazine, like being on, you know, or being on No Film School, like, you know, you want to have, you know, you want to be able to add some visual flair to each update. You know, that's all.
I would find out for sure, but I believe you can have multiple media in your updates. And if you can't, you let me know, and I'm going to do something about that.
Thank
By-
you.
Okay.
That would really
Very
be helpful.
cool.
I don't know if I'll be able to do it in time, but
You know.
okay, my public comment on my contribution will be film courage is the best.
Oh,
Oh, thank you.
that's really cool.
You are true pioneers.
Thank you.
And we at IndieGogo are proud of you and that you are blazing your trail with us.
Oh, that's great.
Wow,
Bam.
thank you.
Oh, that's awesome. You know, that gives
Thank
me
you so much.
goosebumps. Adam.
Wow, this is really a moment.
It's true.
It's nice.
I will not narrate my credit card number.
Okay.
Let's go. So yeah.
You know, and
Um,
that's awesome. That's really
Thank you.
awesome. You know, I
Thank you, Adam.
you know, we know you have a lot of things to get to. You know, just lastly, just any additional like thoughts or advice in terms of I guess we just crossed $1,000. You know, what are some things we need to keep in mind? What are some things we need to keep doing in order to continue to spread word here and continue to grow?
You know, for me to be talking to the Film Courage pair about spreading word is maybe a little bit silly. You should be telling me about how to do that. Because people love hearing what you have to say. And so all I would say is, you know, in my short but wonderful relationship with you, one thing that I have noticed to your total credit is your humility. And I think that's one of the likable things about you, absolutely. But don't underestimate the esteem that the film community holds you in. And I think you can reach out to people, and you've been providing a lot of benefit and a lot of great content to all of us for a long time. And I think all of us are very eager to give it back. So don't think that we aren't, and don't think that by asking you are imposing, because I think everybody would be eager to give back to you in a way that you guys have been giving to us for such a long time. That's the tip I would.
Wow,
That's great.
that's
Adam,
really cool.
Adam, you're
Thank
the
you.
best.
Wow,
You are
thank
the best.
you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. We're just going to thank you.
Thank you.
And let you get back to what you're doing, and we're going to get back to
Yeah,
what
what
we're
I'm
doing.
doing is contributing to this great campaign on Indiegogo that I heard. It's called Contribute to 30 Days to 1 Million, the worldwide release of Goodbye Promise. Join me and contribute. I'm covering the number.